Topic 4, Trove Topics, is where people kind of write in and shoot questions to be part of the show. In theory, using the hashtag Trove Topics, but I've yet to have anybody do that in the last few weeks, so whatever. So the first question that came up from Brandon Gann asks, with the negativity Bethesda is getting for their review copy policy, should Rockstar face the same criticism for showing Red Dead Redemption 2 a year out for pre-order purposes? I wrote a big old thing on Bethesda's policy of now only putting games out there like a day before release. But I'm curious what your kind of take on that whole conversation is, Danny.
From like a gameplay wise, like as a gamer view wise, it's kind of just like well, I guess we have to figure out for ourselves if we're gonna like it or not. But it is like important for I think it's important for review to get an early copy, kind of just to kind of like. A lot of people give reviewers negativity where it's like, oh, if they give it a bad review, it's like, well, they just didn't like the game and they're a shitty reviewer. Or if they give it a great score, it's like, oh, they're a fanboy, so that's why they gave it a great score and stuff like that. Where it's like, it seems like on the internet, there's never really a middle ground for how someone reviews a game.
Mm-hmm.
But or what the point system is on the website. But I think what Bethesda wants to do is like, it's kind of dumb. Like if you want your game to kind of get more PR, like let reviewers get it. And I get that they're trying to oh no, we want YouTubers and Twitch streamers to like, promote our game. And this idea like, oh, a lot of people are saying like, oh, they're Bethesda. They have a big head about themselves because they're Bethesda. So now people are like, no matter what we put, you're going to buy it. Partially, it's true. It's the same thing. Like, every year Ubisoft put out, they're not this year, but every year they put out Assassin's Creed because he straight up said it. We put them out every year because you keep buying it.
Yep.
And so, Bethesda will learn from this if they obviously Skyrim Remaster is doing fine.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has any issues with it, but we'll find out with Dishonored 2 what happens.
Yeah. The one of the big things that I kind of touched on was the thing that I've kind of brought up that I don't think I've seen a lot of other people really touch on is that this is the second ballsy move that they've the second kind of passive aggressive fuck you that they've done in the last couple months. The first one being when they announced that Sony was being problematic and that's why they weren't getting mod support for Fallout 4 or the Skyrim one. That was a total shit move on behalf of them. And so this is them doing the same thing, kind of shooting across the bow at the reviewers, which, as I touched on, they don't have any, they don't owe the reviewers anything. And I'm sure that they've gone through and run the numbers and said, well, reviews can probably reviews hurt us more than they help us in terms of sales. If they can kind of postpone when the reviews come out until after the big push, the big opening weekend of the game, pre-order push has come through, why it's in their best interest to go ahead and do that and say, yeah, you can review the game once it's out, once we've already got our money. So I think, it's kind of crappy in the context of Red Dead Redemption 2 kind of coming out and saying the game's coming out next year, pre-order now. I said right out the bat, I was like, there's zero reason to pre-order this, so don't. I think it's two different issues, unless if Rockstar certainly follows suit and says, oh yeah, we're not going to give Red Dead Redemption 2 out until day one, which is possible because 2K is one of the companies that is doing that kind of is treating review copies like that. It will certainly suck for the same reasons. But yeah, I would say it's dumb and weird that they're already trying to get pre-orders for a game a year out, as it always is. But then and I, as we touched on a little bit ago, you and I both, the night of the Final Fantasy event, went in and pre-ordered Final Fantasy 15 Collector's Edition because sometimes we're stupid gamers like that.
Yeah,
I did oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
We as fanboys are excited, and we were just like, sure, why not?
Yeah, and it's that's it's tough because I want to say don't pre-order, but I know I'm going to pre-order, and I'm like, I pre-order in a place oftentimes as much because I just want to be able to cover and write about the game day one. When it like when people are looking for it, Dan Stapleton put a big old thing up on IGN about like how IGN's going to deal with it moving forward, and he included in there kind of like a graph of like, this is when Google searches for Doom, or one of Bethesda's last games came out. It was like, it peaks basically the day the game comes out. That's when everybody's looking for information on that game. And then,
Yeah.
within a week, it has completely fallen off to like to very minimal amount of search traffic. So you want to obviously be in there when people are having the conversation, when they're looking for kind of interest on the game. But I'm like, I canceled my Dishonored pre-order to send the dumbest of stupid messages about the whole thing. But in doing that, like, I'm giving up getting a copy of the first Dishonored game that came with the pre-order, and like a $10 like Best Buy gift card, which sucks, but I'm gonna go ahead and take this like stance and just deal with, I'm not gonna get those things. And I'll get the game maybe eventually. Maybe I'll just go through and say, well, okay, I'll get like a used copy a few days later from GameStop. So Bethesda isn't getting my chunk of change there. As kind of
and that's
like, don't be dicks, Bethesda.
and that's the thing. She was like, with the case of Red Dead, don't pre-order it. You got a 1 minute visual looking at what the game, even if that's what the game looks like in the engine, but I doubt it. That's visually like, don't waste your money pre-ordering it. Wait till they show more, or wait till the game comes out. And like, my sense of, I pre-order things, like, I just want to go get it that night, and like at 9:00 when the game releases here in the West Coast, like, I just want to go get it and already go start playing it. And it's like you said, as a reviewer stands, like, I want to have something up or a video up or something, like, I want to write about it that next day or that night of like, here's my first 2 hours with the game, but with the sense of like, Bethesda saying a few, like, I didn't care much for Dishonored 1, so it's like, I don't actually care for Dishonored 2. And so, like, with this case of Skyrim, it's like, we already know what that game is. Sure, it'll look better. Cool. And so whatever future Bethesda title comes out, we'll see.
Yeah, that was the closing line of my write-up, was basically talking about like, Prey doesn't have nearly the name recognition of anything else that they've done in recent years, like Wolfenstein or Doom or Fallout or Dishonored or Skyrim. Like, so Prey's going to be the first one that they're going to really have to be like, well, this kind of bit us in the ass, because people aren't going to know that necessarily just from Bethesda's like cachet. Cool.
The Prey that we're getting now from Bethesda is different than the Prey that we had known from 2K back in the day.
Right. So next up, we have Frank Bazzani at Irrelevant Jokes saying,
"Oh my God!"
to ask if you're hungry and if you got the platinum in sound shapes, which he meant sound shapes. So what is this like? Because somebody asked if he was hungry when he was on the show. Like, what did you all do at the GameStop Expo? Like, what is this hungry thing?
Okay.
What are we talking
about? During GameStop Expo, for some reason, the talks of like Fast and Furious came up, and then the debate of like, ultimately, what's the best Fast and Furious? And Damien said Too Fast, Too Furious, which is ultimately the worst Fast and the Furious movie.
Yeah, and so that feeds into a couple of Joey Noel asks later, why is Too Fast, Too Furious the worst F&F movie? GCC Damien.
Yeah, and so like, there's a line in there when you first meet Tyrese, his character. He's like, "Oh, we hungry," and so like, the whole weekend they kept saying, "Oh, we hungry." And so when we were at the event, we went to go talk to Nick Scarpino and Tim Gaze and asked them like, "What is the worst Fast and Furious?" And they both said Too Fast, Too Furious is the worst one. And like, Damien is still dying on that stake that is the best one because of those lines alone. Of like, that movie has the worst writing in it. It's so dumb. And like, I get that you meet Tyrese's character and then like you see Paul Walker again, but like the concept of like them driving the car under the boat and all of the dialogue Tyrese gives is like so stupid. Like, they steal money from the guy and he goes, "Pockets ain't empty no more, cuz." And it's just like, oh God, like, it's just terrible 90s like slang and writing. And so like the joke of like, oh, we hungry, we like that is the thing that's gonna live on between our group for probably the next couple decades. Um, and for the case of Sound Shapes, I've not gotten the platinum. That game, like fucking the whatever death mode.
Yeah, there are a couple of death mode
There's
ones
one
that
that
are like, fuck this.
yeah, like there's this one where it's you have to get 25 of the dots, but then there's these two guys that are shooting lasers repeatedly across
Yep.
in an X shape. So when you get the ones that like are right here in the middle or at the bottom, it's like this is sucks so hard.
Yep. Yeah, I eventually gave up on that. I was like, fuck this. Nope. I don't have the patience for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That Mario Rivera asks Power Rangers or Beetlemorphs, which we had a little back and forth, and obviously he meant Beetleborgs.
Yeah.
Power Rangers, obviously. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Power Rangers all the way. I was a big Beetleborgs fan growing up, but like Power Rangers ultimately like outranked it in my like life. It always went like it went Power Rangers and then probably VR Troopers. No, it probably went Beetleborgs afterwards, then VR Troopers, and then there was the one you talked about was like you're one of the only people I know that watched it.
the Mystic Knights of Tirnanog.
Yeah, like I remember that show, and I think I still have a figure from McDonald's from it because I remember they sold figures and Happy Meals, and like I loved that show. And I was like, what the fuck happened to it?
It most of those died after a year or two. Because they couldn't, like, they were trying to replicate Power Rangers and they couldn't, and like everybody was like, nope, we're on the Power Rangers train. And so yeah, that was another one that, like, I mean, especially because that one was like set in like medieval times or whatever. It's like that costs a little bit more to shoot on those kinds of like big castle sets and stuff like that. So like it didn't connect with audiences and it was gone. But yeah, that was my response, was like, I think you're missing out VR Troopers and Mystic Knights of Tirnanog. Because those are just weird, obscure 90s shows.
Yeah, on Fox Kids. What was your favorite set of Power Rangers?
I mean, I was the original Mighty Morphin. Like I didn't
Okay.
like I stuck it out with like the first movie or two. So I probably like was through like Turbo or something like that. But
yeah,
like once they went into like, especially like once they were all like medical or like emergency vehicles or something like that, I was like, nope, this is
Lightspeed Rescue.
Yeah, I was like, what? No. So yeah, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I was the OG, like watching that as it originally aired in the States way back in my day.
I stuck it out till Mystic Force, and then I stopped watching. But like now my nephew's into it, my younger nephew, and like he's like 5, and he's watching the new ones. I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. But I was like, not that doesn't work. But my favorite's probably Lost in Space with like it was like the right after I think after Turbo was over, and like they go up to space and meet Andros and all that.
Yeah. I went back like, because like the Mighty Morphin was on Netflix, and I went and was watching it like a year or two back, and I got through like I don't think I even got to Tommy coming in, so it was like very early in the first season where I was like, oh my god, this is so painful now. Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
It's real cringy. It's real bad.
I can't do it. Joey Noel asks, have you mailed Shauna Cascarelli, right? Cascarella, yeah. Have you mailed her shoes yet?
No, they're still here. I'm just gonna give them to her at PSX, okay. Like I did with just like I did with Joey Noel. I had her shoes for like 6 months, and then I saw her at GameStop Expo. I was like, "Here's your shoes."
Oh, these are some of the Nintendo Vans shoes, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I got Shauna a pair. She wanted these mint grease skate highs, and she wanted this T-shirt, so I got her those. Okay. And she sent me the money, and I just haven't mailed them. And I'm like, I'm gonna see you in a month.
Yeah. You're because I think she also chimed in curious about that. Zyger asks, how do they do it in Tokyo?
I have no idea. Besides the song from Tokyo Drift, make you want to know how they do it in Tokyo.
Zyger also asks, what's something you would tell little 5-year-old Danny to prepare him for his future?
Hey dude, someday you're gonna be a worship leader, and you think it's gonna be the end all be all of your like career in your life, but it's not. Things get better from there.
Things get better from being a worship leader.
Yeah.
Kind of in the same vein, I'll hop around a sec. If you met future Danny and you could ask him one single thing about your future, what would you ask? That's again from Zyger.
Did we make the animation studio that we always wanted to? Did we get Production IG to team up with Trigger?
And what do you hope he says? Yes, obviously.
Yeah, that we started an anime studio. I've always said if I could make $1 million, I would move to Japan and start my own anime studio and hire people from the two of my favorite production teams.
Nice. Zyger continues to ask, because he does this every week. In the past year, what have been some of your more memorable experiences?
I would say everything with you guys, like between like Kind of Funny Live, PSX, House Party, GameStop Expo, just like becoming closer with all of you guys and building these relationships, and like how much we talk like through Twitter, through text messages, through the Facebook group, and just like getting to know each other better, and like being in SF last week for House Party, and then like driving by the Kind of Funny studios and then seeing them like Trevor, like stuff like that. Those are memories. Those are so funny. Like we're gonna remember these for the longest time. And like
Yeah.
seeing like Joey posted a picture of like Barb Dunkelman from Rooster Teeth, like talking about how she met these people 10 years ago at a Rooster Teeth event, and then having dinner. Is like, what does that look like for us in 5 years, 5 to 10 years? Like all of us meeting up somewhere, just not even for an event, just to grab dinner, like as a giant family together.
Yeah. That's I give Nikki crap for that, because I was like, that was what your wedding was supposed to be, Nikki. And then she's like, yeah, but we got to invite family and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, but like we're the real family.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, absolutely. Like I in the same vein, like all the Kind of Funny community event stuff that we've done has been certainly the highlight. And I again, like when I'm talking to people about going to these events, I'm basically telling them like, oh yeah, I'm going to either see or meet my best friends. Even if I like, for people that like Brandon, who asked a question earlier, like I've never met him. He got in touch with me after Kind of Funny Live 2, and like already we're looking forward to finally meeting at Kind of Funny Live 3, and because we're already friends through this community, and that's very much how like so much of this last year has been is going to those things, meeting people, seeing people, hanging out with people. Like yeah, especially like after that first Kind of Funny Live, and then the House Party last year, like right after it, going and kind of getting to like see people and be like, oh, like we met last time and now we're hanging out and going and grabbing like lunch together, and then like PSX and secret ramen, stuff like that, where like yes, I'm still meeting people, but I'm also getting to see the friends that I've made at previous events every time. And yeah, like us again grabbing ramen last week at the IGN thing. Like yeah, I definitely cherish those kinds of like memories, because I don't hang out with a lot of people here in Phoenix, and like yeah, most of my realistic best friends now are people that I see 2 or 3 times a year, and otherwise we like just hang out on the internet and occasionally talk on big old long podcasts. So
yeah. And it's stuff like that. Like when I went to Arizona for the Final Fantasy concert, I knew you were going to be there, and we got beers after. But then the next day, like we all met up for lunch with like Cameron and Frank and everybody too. So it's like stuff like that. We've had these relationships from these events, and now if we go to each other's cities, like we're going to plan to see each other and hang out. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like if I'm in Vegas anytime soon, I'll be like, all right. Well, I guess you probably won't be in Vegas anytime soon anyway, right? Like you're still planning on a move sometime soon.
Yeah, in May. Yeah. But in the meantime. Yeah.
In the meantime, all right. If I come for like a big old bender in the next 6 months, then
you have a place to sleep and like someone to take you out.
Yay! Zyger. Last question from Zyger: is there something that you haven't done yet and you want to do within the next year? If so, what?
So there's something I haven't done, but I'm working on it right now. You're gonna get the scoops. I want to get back into YouTube, and I have been writing every day because of you and Alex, and I have a bunch of stuff written now that's saved up. Where now I'm like looking at it like, well, why don't I just, instead of posting it, making an audio post? And I'm looking to make a YouTube channel, and I kind of have some ideas. Like There was one anime called Danny Diatribes, but then I was like, a diatribe seems like more of like me going on, like being on tangents about stuff, and maybe Terrence Lee down. Where it's like, now
Sounds
I'm
like you're
looking at
kind of
more of like this
copying
thing
the
called just
alliteration thing that I've got going on.
yeah. I'm looking more at like discussions with Danny or like decisions with Danny, where it's like, hey, decisions with Danny. Should you buy Titanfall 2? And like I break down why you should or why you shouldn't, or like should you start this anime this season, or this new movie's coming out. Should you go see this movie? And like they're like a review discussion type of thing.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I look forward to whenever that hits.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I'm super glad or super excited for you for doing the writing thing. What are you up to now? How many days are we at?
96. So
Nice.
yeah.
I hit a year, or I hit because we're in a leap year. I hit the day that this goes out. The day that by the time this part is out, I've already passed a year. But when part 1 of this episode hits on Halloween, that'll be 365 days, and then like November 1st is when I started.
Yeah.
So that's the year, because Alex
Yeah.
stupidly had to start doing this on a leap year where 365 wasn't our 1 year anniversary. Jerk.
Can you
so
believe
yeah,
how fast time has flown since like you've started writing? Like today when I like started doing some writing at work, because I do it on my phone now as I go, and like I look at the day and I'm like, oh, I can't believe like it's day 96. Like it doesn't seem like it's been that long, because I started back on June 9th on my birthday.
Yeah, it definitely. I definitely hit those moments of like, wow, I can't, like, I was looking just like at randomly. I've been keeping a tally of like all the games I've played this year, and all the ones I've reviewed and stuff. And I was looking, I've played 75 games this year in 2016 alone, reviewed almost 40 of them, I think. And so it's like, holy shit, I've been busy this year. It's been a busy year, and I'm writing every day, and now doing the show, and work and travel and all that stuff. So it's certainly certainly surreal at times. But then there are definitely times, just to kind of give you the warning and the heads up, where you might get in there and just be like, I don't know what the hell to write about today. I don't know what.
There have been moments for me like that right now. It's like I haven't hit a wall, but I'm like, what am I going to talk about, or what am I going to write about? So I've been doing these things of like comparisons of like animes to movies or to games, or like one of the pieces I'm really working on that's a big one right now that I want to post on probably on Irrational Passions I've talked to us about is narrative driven games versus gameplay games, where it's like Overwatch doesn't have this narrative. Overwatch is just a competitive shooter, but the story is told by the gameplay and by the characters, versus a game like the Uncharted, where there's a narrative, there's a story.
Yeah.
The idea of like a game being worth $60, and where does it fall on that? Where it's like people are saying like Star Wars Battlefront shouldn't be worth $60 because it's just a multiplayer shooter and stuff like that. So it's like where do we fall in this line of like narrative matters versus $60 being a narrative game versus $60 being a non-narrative game?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Interesting. Yeah. So you're looking to get this YouTube channel thing going. Any idea of like when you might be trying to actually hit that off and launch it?
I'm looking towards probably January. Right now, I'm working on getting better camera equipment, and then because I was gonna do a tripod through my iPad, but then it wasn't doing what I needed to do. So I was like, I might actually just invest in like a DSLR video camera from my sister, and then building a green screen or getting a green screen for it.
Cool. Just paint one of your walls green. There you go. That's all you need.
Yeah.
or blue or whatever.
And then like buying like lighting equipment and stuff for it too.
Yeah, that's been like the slow kind of journey for me, is like, well, like I got the editing software, and for now I'm fine with this weird like blue on me just because of my apartment's natural lighting, and what you're basically seeing is my kitchen off screen is a light blue, and so you're seeing like that reflected on my face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I could I took theater. I can go and get lighting equipment and stuff, but I'm also in a crappy little 500-foot studio apartment. So
yeah,
maybe I'll just wait until I'm in a larger place, or if I'm even in like Phoenix for another 6 months, or if I end up moving elsewhere, maybe I can invest at that time.
Yeah.
So like this is a basic setup where I don't need like super high production value yet. I'm not like for just the standard podcast, I'm fine doing that. But if I were to get more into, and I hope to get more into like editing videos, maybe not in the vein of like Barrett's B list or Alex Talks that Alex is doing.
Yeah.
But like so if I end up doing that, yeah, I might go ahead and like try and invest in something else, and play around with that. As it is, like investing in Adobe was like, okay, I'll at least do that to force myself to actually sit down and learn how to edit stuff and put together videos and audios and clip stuff out. And so I've still got a
Yeah, and
lot I
that's
can
the
play
thing.
around with there, that are kind of my next steps. So
Yeah, and like my idea is like for me is when I do is like kind of have a green screen, have Premiere, so I can have like either video game footage or movie footage behind me, and like we stand there like in the way of like he stands in the front of kind of Alex Talks, but like more of like a this you're seeing the gameplay that I've played or the movie that I saw and discussing things about it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so that's kind of where I think that kind of answer is my answer to the question too, is trying to just do more with this, more video content as I've kind of been touching on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hit a year next week, so that's exciting in the
Yay.
Hooray. Woo. Great. Thank you for everything, Danny. That rounds out the Trove topics. I completely realized we forgot to do this at the beginning of the show, so I'm so sorry for that. Where would people from the internet know you from? You said you're on a podcast with Steven. What else are you doing out there? You're at Stoked Danny on Twitter.
Yeah. So the funny part is like I used to have a thing called XP Share Podcast, and that kind of ended because of members not really feeling it anymore, kind of growing out of it. And so it's like I was thinking about bringing that back, but now I'm like, I kind of want to do something different, and that's where Danny Discussions coming through. So that's the big one for next year. But honestly, like I tell our group of friends, like I feel like I'm the Anthony Carboni of our friends, where it's like I don't really have a thing. I just go into people's things and make myself known and go to events and be like, hey, this is me. This is where you know me from at events or on this podcast, or I made an appearance here, or I wrote something here. And so like that's like my kind of joke thing or my gig thing. But honestly, just Twitter, you'll find everything I do there. If I make an appearance on a show like this or Rational Passions or some random podcast, or if the weekly podcast I do called The Illustrious Magic with Steven Santana from Dual Shockers, I'll post like our podcast for the week on there and stuff.
Cool. Well, Thank you again for being on, Danny. Always a pleasure getting to catch up with you, and thank you for enlightening me on your gaming history and Metal Gear Solid 3 and anime. Yay, anime.
Yay, anime.
All right. Until next time. I guess I should plug my shit too. I guess if I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I'm Snarky Starky on Twitter. You can follow the podcast at Trove Talk on Twitter. You can follow whatever I've been working on writing on trevortrove.com. As this is airing, last week I had like a week-long run of VR coverage talking about some of the VR games that I've been playing, and probably, especially by the time this piece is going live, I'll have probably put up the big like 1 year anniversary celebration piece that I'm working on, and I'll hopefully be finishing up probably tomorrow, as we record. So yeah, keep on treasuring your friends in the Trove. I don't know. I'm still working on closing tag. Brandon sent me a closing tag. I forgot to like pull it aside and look at it and try and work with it. So I'll do that again, Brandon. Sorry. Until next time, insert closing tag here.